Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Face to Face. My name is Godfred Akoto. My guest today is a young man, well, that is how he calls himself, a young man who has served the NDC, the opposition party, from grassroots to the national. In fact, at one time, he was the closest aide to former President Rawlings. These days, he has set his eyes on entering Parliament. Kofi Adams is my guest today. Welcome back to Face. Kofi, welcome to Face.
Thank you, Godfred.
It's been a while. You look like a man who's been running around the country.
Yeah, you have to run around. When you find yourself in the situation that I find myself, you have to run around.
Why Buem?
Because that is home. Everybody wants to go home and then try to work from home and build home. And so when the opportunity came, I thought that it is important that I go home. Even though I would have qualified to contest per the national constitution in other places such as Bonkatamanso constituency, which is equally another stronghold of the NDC because we've won that constituency since 1992 and the incumbent MP was not running. I just thought that no, it's better to serve your people, so go home. But this is not the first time I've made an attempt.
I know, you tried.
I tried in 2013.
You had issues then.
In 2013, yeah. In 2013, when late Ford, that's our MP, passed on and there was going to be a by-election, I thought that the by-election rules are mainly relaxed to allow people to come in. You could actually even move your vote if you have to, but that was not allowed, and so I didn't
Was that
contest.
the only reason why you could not contest?
No,
There were those who said there was a dark cloud over your head. That was a time when the NDC didn't really know whether to trust Kofi Adams or not.
Yeah, that was another issue. But then that was an issue that had long been settled, actually, before we went into the 2012 elections. What they were waiting for was a report. So truly the party just used the absence of a report because we had finished. They had done their investigation, realized that there was really nothing against me, and the committee has told me that you are cleared because we really did not find anything untoward. But the committee never had a chance to sit together and deal with the report because we had gone into a campaign. Don't forget, in 2012, we lost our Flagbearer, who had been elected in 2011, and we were going in with a new Flagbearer, and everybody was focused on the campaigns, and I was deeply involved in the campaigns myself. So when it happened, I was surprised that anyone would say that, oh, because a report hasn't come, it means that the matter has not been concluded, when clearly it has been concluded. But I thought that, oh no, it wasn't just my time. So even though people push that I should go independent, I told them no. Independent for what? If I ever will have to go to Parliament, I have to be called an NDC member of Parliament, not just an MP, an independent MP. No.
I can see why you would want the pride of being called an NDC member of Parliament, considering how you've risen through the party. But there are those who also say, for your organizational skills, your hands-on skills, are better suited to the party at this particular moment in time. This is perhaps the time that the NDC needed Kofi Adams the most in opposition. But you did not avail yourself during the national elections, but rather decided to focus on Parliament.
I think I'm still available for the NDC. I haven't left the NDC.
But the party machinery needs you.
Of course, I'm available for the party machinery. And I'm going to be available. I'm even going to now be much more available to the party machinery.
How can you be more available when you will also be looking at winning then a parliamentary election if you do become the candidate?
It's all part of the work. It's all part of the work of the party. Just that you have a focus in a constituency, but you will equally be available for other constituencies. Just like you were when you were a national officer anyway. But then you are going to have now a certain level of concentration at the branch level. As national officer, you mostly coordinate maybe with the regional officers and constituency officers and what have you. But what I'll be seeking to do, or what I'll be doing now, would also be involving the branches at my constituency. And going beyond my constituency, I'll be engaging with constituency leadership, various communities, and regional leadership. I'm already doing it. Now, I'm involved in the party school program. You know, the party designed a program, Introduction to Parliamentary Politics. I'm one of those who are teaching the young ones who want to become MPs. I'm involved in those lectures. That is impacting knowledge to the party. And What more can one do than this? And I've also been involved in other training programs that our national organizer brought together all his regional organizers. I was present. The youth organizer brought all his youth organizers. I was present. And all these we do to impact knowledge to the ones who have come after us.
So it's not as if Kofi Adams is not is just focusing on Parliament.
No.
The actual campaign will see a lot more of Kofi Adams. But
sure.
Let's talk about Boem and Parliament. It's not a free seat. It's a seat that has an incumbent member of Parliament.
Sure, every seat is not a free seat. All the 275 seats are not free seats. They are MPs occupying them. So no seat is in that sense free.
What is the vision?
But the parties declare the positions vacant. So it is the party that has made those seats now vacant. It's not like the seats are free, but the party has made them vacant. That we are looking for a flag bearer for our constituencies. The 275, we need individual persons who are capable, qualified to contest as the torch bearers for those constituencies. And that is what has brought this up. So it is not like the seats are free. And so we picked forms, we went through vetting, and we all qualified to contest. And that is why we are where we are. The vision is that, one, this is a constituency that has a lot to offer this country, has a lot to be able to do, but not much is known.
What happens
of that constituency?
The first time I recall, the first time I heard of Boem was at the School of Performing Arts, where one of my lecturers had written a history of Boem.
Okay.
You know, what happens in Boem? Why is it so important?
Yeah, it's important because it's a critical region. It used to be the central point of the northern part of Volta. And so for many activities that will be happening in that part of the region, Jasikan, which is the district capital of the district and the capital of the constituency, used to be the point of aggregation for redistribution into all the other constituencies or districts. So the Electoral Commission usually distribute their material and information from there. NADMO, if they want to serve the region, use that point. Many other government institutions all operate from that point. That explains why Jasikan was very solid that it was going to be made the regional capital for the OT region. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. It's predominantly a farming area with barely no industry to celebrate that as a means of employment. And the key farm things we used to do was to grow cocoa. And at a point in Volta region, the district topped in terms of cocoa production. It's still doing very well in the area of cocoa production, but there are a number of challenges that will be addressed. And it's a district or a constituency with one college of education and about 4 secondary schools that are in there. We have the Buemai Senior High, you have the Kajakrom Sectec, then you have the Dogley Memorial, and then Baglo SHS. So these are the 4 main government schools that are in. I think there are about 2 private schools that are also in there. Typically farming is one traditional area. That's one pleasant that we have. So we have one paramount chief and one paramount queen. So it's quite easy to get our acts together. We lost our paramount chief not too long ago, and the new one has been installed. A new queen mother have also been installed because we lost our queen mother also, and they are more than ready to lift the traditional area up. What is needed now is to have the complementary political support and have a member of parliament who can elevate the constituency, bring the needs and the concerns of the constituency to national attention, and lobby for governmental response where it is government that must respond.
They haven't seen too much of that under Honorable Isiama?
Not much has happened. You rightly said that you are a guru in the media. How much have you heard of Boem? And you can ask your reporters who report from Parliament also how much they have heard about Boem. So he's done his bit. But where we are now, we need, the competition is a staff. And so you need people that have tougher skills and then they are a bit maybe mightier and could face it up with other ones coming from various other constituencies, because no constituency is going to mark time and say, oh, we are waiting for you because you are deprived and because maybe your representative may be slow, you go and do all the lobbying before we will come. No, you all must be on your feet. And that is what I bring in, to bring the constituency's issues closer to the decision makers and to send a certain national attention to the constituency. And so by so doing, if, for example, you draw attention and you push whether your party is in power or not, and the government buy in, and the president even, for example, makes a comment, you can now, based on the comment of the president, push decision makers to begin to factor that comment into their decisions. And so that's what I'm going to be doing.
What are your chances
of winning the primaries? Oh, very good. I've had engagement with the very good people of WIM.
You don't fear delegates?
Oh, delegates are really not to be feared. On the contrary, I trust delegates. You see, people fear delegates because they believe in their names only. There are people who have names and think that the name you have or the name recognition should give you a victory in a constituency such as WIM. But they deceive themselves. Your name will help you, but you have to relate much better with the people. Do what they do, understand them better, and then you can then move on to request for their support. But when you are distanced from them, only relying on your name, that possibly that has been created either through the help of media or whatever other means, then you can have a situation where you fear the delegates. Because one round engagement with delegates and their clapping and all the assurances is not enough. You need to do a number of times and hear them do a review of you. Use other tools in your absence to know what is being discussed of you. Because in your presence, they may not tell you some of the things that they will say because of the respect that they have for you. So you have to develop tools that will inform you appropriately. And when you develop those tools and the information comes, then you can then truly assess whether you're winning or not winning.
Okay. You sound quite confident of the whole process that is coming up. And the way your constituency works, once you go through the primaries, it is almost a certainty that
you will be in Parliament.
You will be in Parliament. But what I've noticed, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there seems to be a trend where the NDC as a party, you can tell me if this was a decision taken by the party or it's just coincidence, seems to be pushing a new breed of its young, most vibrant faces into Parliament. So Kofi Adams says he's going into Parliament. No Yulita says she's going to Parliament. Felix Kwachiofusu says he's going to Parliament. You go to other parts of the country, it looks like all of you seem to want to get into Parliament. All of you want to be legislators genuinely?
Sure, we want to be legislators genuinely, and also to be able to serve the country and the party even better. The outcome of the 2016 elections and its subsequent investigation report informed
the report that we still haven't seen. Only you people have seen.
Of course, but it wasn't intended for you. If you want, you
but
can.
But even within your own party, very few have seen it.
Of course, because it isn't intended for everybody. Oh. It's intended for policy. Those.
But you invited us when you were launching the committee.
Of course, we invited you to know that we are taking this step. We always invite you when we are launching things.
But not to show us the outcome.
Not to show you the outcome. The outcome we are not supposed to show you. What we needed to share with you, we've shared with you. And that was why the chairman of the committee shared what we thought could be shared with the media. And that was enough. The reason being that the report contained issues that the constituents informed the committee were in their minds were the reasons for our performance. So if we visited or if they visited constituency A, the issues that they thought caused their loss, they will bring them up. That constituency A didn't have to hear or know what caused the loss in constituency B, because you are not going to be working there. You brought the issue. It wasn't like we are telling you why we lost in your constituency. You are telling the committee that these were the reasons for which we thought we lost this constituency. So you already know. And these discussions were held in open, where the constituency representatives from the various polling stations were present. So every issue that was raised, you are already aware. So why will you want to read about the other constituency when you are not in that constituency? Then when you come to the inter-regional level, the regions are briefed about the report from all the constituencies. So why will, for example, Volta region want to know why we lost in Eastern region?
There might be lessons.
No. The lessons will be learned at the national level. So national now will know what caused the loss in all the constituencies and all the regions, because the policy decision is taken at the national level.
Okay.
So you then take decisions that will affect all the structure the way down. The region takes decision that affects the constituencies under them. So every structure that needed to know are aware of what concerns them. Just like the constituencies were the ones who presented those issues. Maybe this didn't get to us, this didn't come in time, this came very late. When this came, the distribution was unfair. You could find some people having multiple party paraphernalia when others didn't have, and so on and so forth. So you brought this up and it's captured into a report. You don't need another constituency's report to be able to get those things resolved. The leadership that we're making policies, that's why, for example, we set aside the old membership register. And I worked to introduce a new register that was manually done by the branches themselves, leading to subsequently the branch elections that we did later, and the constituency elections, regional and national. That's part of the reason why many reforms have come in. So it means that the report has been studied and we are applying them. Today, no person in the constituency can change anybody's position. In the past, it used to be like when we are going through a contest such as this, if somebody thought that he is the boss of the constituency and a particular executive at the branch is not supporting his choice or her choice, you will be calling yourself maybe a branch chairman. In the next moment, they will change you. The day of election, another person's name will be there. But this time around, we have detailed records of those who are executives at the national level. So it is the national that now prints the register, endorse it, and send it down for you to use. It's no longer you doing it, because the data that is used in generating the register have since been submitted through the processes to national, and we are keeping copies. We used not to have this, but I made sure we put it in place, and it is working very well for us.
But you still haven't answered my substantive question on the new faces that the NDC
and I'm
seems
saying,
to be putting out there.
I was telling you that it's not like the party intentionally is picking some people and saying, "Oh, you go and contest, go and." They are already in the party. They are qualified. They've observed that, look, there were certain challenges in terms of appropriate representation at some constituencies, and I have all these qualities. What can I do? Should I remain at just the top, or do I go down and impact positively in some of these constituencies to maximize votes? Because it is when you maximize votes in various constituencies, branches and constituencies, that you win national elections. So as a result of that, many more of us thought that, no, it's better to go down, pick a constituency. And so if I pick one, now national is left to make policy to worry about 274. If another person pick another one, they are left to worry about 273, and so on and so forth. So by the time you realize, the worry or the focus of national executive and maybe the regional executive will reduce to just a few constituencies, because I can take care of my constituency fully without needing any external support, whether strategy or raising funds to support activity. I'm capable of doing that. So I take the burden off national. The same with many other constituencies, whether strategy or raising resources to support the constituency, they are able to do so. And so you take the burden gradually. So I'm so happy that a lot more of such persons are putting themselves up for elections. I only pray that the delegates out there who have the right of choice will vote them so they can serve the constituencies better and maximize our votes.
You make the point about the party studying the mistakes it made in the previous election and putting its best foot forward. 2 years or 3 years into post that loss and a year to another election, how much change does the NDC think it has been able to see through for it to become a formidable challenger to the NPP again?
I think we are more than a formidable challenger. We are a government truly in waiting. After 24th August, we can say that we would have decided a lot of our constituencies, leaving just a few to be done, maybe less than 25% to be covered. And of course, another task which is not so major is the selection of a running mate by our Flagbearer. He will select his running mate.
It's not so major. We'll come there. It looks to be a big headache.
Oh, no, it can be a big headache. This is somebody who has done it many times, and so it shouldn't be a big headache at all. Trust the processes, and we will get there.
It seems to be a favorite line of yours. Trust the process.
He's done it many times, and so I have every confidence that he will make a choice that will be very excellent, that will meet the needs and aspirations of the people. And I trust His Excellency John Dramani Mahama when it comes to such things, that he will do the rightful thing. You ask, what have we done? We've done a lot. I just told you about the party internal election processes that we've done. We've taken time to make sure that all the way, every step is taken, that you will not have anybody being injured along the line. We have developed regulations to govern even branch elections, to govern the constituency elections. We've done same for the parliamentary processes. Teams have been put in place to make sure that conflicts are immediately resolved. So for every step of the way, we are making sure that we are resolving every issue that comes up. So we'll ready ourselves. Even if we complete the process and we are left with just one year or even 2 months, we can go in with an effective machinery on the ground to win the elections.
The NDC had a significant perception problem with the Ghanaian populace. A lot of people have said that, well, the NDC was corrupt at that point. That was the perception. The NDC was not an honest party. The NDC mismanaged the economy. Do you think the party, again, has put in enough work to even change a bit of that perception? At the party level, you seem to have put in a lot of work. But at the
Godfred,
public level...
I see your question that you are asking. But do we need even to put in so much for you to see darkness from light? It should be clear for you to see darkness from light. What we have today is we've been plunged into darkness. We've been plunged into darkness. We were promised supersonic light. We had our LED light and we were promised some supersonic light. Today, we have found ourselves in darkness. And so we really don't have to do so much for you to see. But we have done a lot to help that. And we need to have everybody coming along. And let me use this medium to invite especially the middle class. They shouldn't give up. I know many of them have been disappointed because they trusted this government so much.
But they don't trust your party either.
They put in, no, for some of them there is disappointment. It's not that they don't trust. Now, some also feel like they will be teased if they make a U-turn. I want to assure them, use your medium to assure them that they will not be teased. Even if a few will do that, they should know, for the sake of the country that we were all building, that they were made to believe that we are going to see some supersonic build up, only for us not to be moving at a tortoise rate.
Kofi Adams is my guest on Face to Face. Welcome back to Face to Face. Kofi, the government has put forth a litany of achievements. You are saying darkness. You are saying tortoise space. They say governance is not an event. It's a process. And so far as they are concerned, the numbers back up their process as compared to your process.
It's interesting that you will have any process that will not reflect on the ground. Every process must show on the ground. Development must be seen and felt. You don't have to be told. So when you have a government that is spending so much time telling us that they have developed us, when we are not feeling it, when we are not seeing it, then it should tell you that they are engaging in propaganda.
Really? The president is in the north. The chiefs are saying all kinds of things, Kofi.
If you go to the
congratulating him.
If you go to let me laugh about reminds me of our chiefs are taught the way to receive elders and leaders. Mostly it's not at the Deba ground that sometimes they tell everything. But behind the Deba, when you engage the people, you hear the reality. You have reported on one village, one dam things. Other media outlets have reported. If you compare the anger in the people about what they have done to destroy their dams and their agriculture, is anything to go by, then you can't be justifying the praises that you have been told. For some of them, when he went to one district in Central Region, I'm told a chief read some statement and was talking about some of his kids, that his kids who were in secondary school, he saved some amount of money. Later on, it came out that that very chief has not got even a child in a secondary school. So it could not have been a speech that he wrote himself. Possibly it was written for him to read, and not written by himself. Because if he wrote the speech himself, he would not have put that aspect in the speech to read, that he saved so much because of free SHS. Talk about farmers in cocoa areas who are demonstrating, who are complaining that their situation have been made worse off.
Where are these demonstrations taking place? We are not reporting on these demonstrations.
Maybe your correspondents may not be doing what is expected of them.
Our correspondents do their job very well,
because
we are not hearing of cocoa farmers are saying they are better off.
Which cocoa farmer have said they are better off?
I've been hearing this cocoa politics that has been playing out, Kofi.
Which cocoa farmer has told you that they are better off? Cocoa farmer, I'm a cocoa farmer sitting here. Our situation has been made worse. Look, how's the situation bad? I have just come from the chemicals that we used to get regularly. You don't even see. You don't have it. It used to be free even under NDC. You are looking for it to buy, even you can't even get. That's the situation we find ourselves. You go down and then you meet even executives of the ruling party complaining that when the NDC was there, at least they were getting something. And they were seeing, maybe some people they perceived, that's what they told me, to be NDC, may get one more than them, but they were also getting. But today, they are not even getting at all. That is the story out there. So I'm surprised that we'll say cocoa farmers are celebrating this government. The government is deceiving itself that, we are not importing, when they are doing massive imports. For example, recently, the West Africa has a buffer stock in Ghana that is placed in Ghana here. They decided to release that to the Ghanaian market because after some time, when it is not used, they give options of the host country to either take it and replace later. You took that and introduced into the economy. Use it to feed your free SHS and what have you. Then you are celebrating increase in cereal production. When it is no production, when it is what is in the stock that has been released into the market, and then you are deceiving yourself. So this is a government that lives in deception, and it's bad everywhere. The truck drivers are complaining, the taxi drivers are complaining, businesses. You just reported collapse of financial and banking and non-banking institutions and what have you.
You don't think everywhere. It should be applauded?
It's collapsed. Why? For collapsing? For job losses?
No, for taking a firm stance
what kind of firm stance?
Poor corporate governance.
What kind of firm stance? Against what? Look, if
we've seen. Oh, Kofi,
if I don't want to go into so much detail.
Please
if
do,
you have
because,
a situation, listen.
Because I don't think these are one of those situations where you can attribute and say, these were just political gimmicks.
Let me just give you one situation where you have a government, the right hand owes the left so heavily. You don't want to pay the left. then you end up now accusing the left that you have reduced in size. Your growth is stunted. And because your growth is stunted, you are not supporting the body. So we are better off cutting you off. Meanwhile, it is you who have refused to supply the necessary ingredients that belong to me, which are in your hands.
But we have also seen that same left hand
and I'm
spilling a lot, 80% of the food in his hand
saying that
to his friends down there.
Wait, pay me what you owe me and see how I will turn that little that you claim around to big. If you had paid that little that you claim you owe from 2017 till now, they could have turned the situation around. You don't come now to come
even
and argue
when they were spending the bailout money that your government gave them. You went out to give bailout money, Kofi. Your party gave bailout money. They spent the money.
For example, if you take an institution like the GN, I've seen their statement.
Yes.
Where they talked about in order to arrest the situation of regular complaints of robberies, armed robberies, and the rest value on market days, they decided to expand and reach to the unbanked communities.
300
and so what they did
branches
was to invest in infrastructure. So at the stage you are investing in this infrastructure, you will surely suffer some losses. It will take some time to make profit out of such investment. And according to them, they finished the infrastructural investment in 2018, only for them to suffer some crisis in the sector. And government did absolutely nothing to support them and did not even pay them for debts, only for you to reduce the bank to a savings and loans company. Then you take away the savings and loans, and you think that I should celebrate these such job losses. I can't celebrate such situation.
You will not celebrate the protection of depositor funds who outnumber the job losses?
How have they protected when you have failed, you have refused to even pay them what you owe them?
They are paying. We've heard the receiver outline the process.
So you are paying when you stop them from doing business. When you could have paid them earlier to save the situation. When you could have paid them earlier to save the situation. The same thing applied to what happened to Unibank. And that's why Unibank has been in court and has been fighting that process. So I can't celebrate this government for it. Its performance has been so below. I think it will come through as a worst performing administration, considering the huge investments that have happened before they came in. Look, they didn't face any energy crisis. The energy crisis have been resolved before they came in.
Because they continued what you have started and improved upon it.
No, they didn't do any improvement. They didn't do any improvement. They didn't meet any crisis. An energy crisis is one major thing that can collapse an economy. That has been resolved. The noise they made about, you remember they were complaining so much about car power deal that, it was for such a system, 10 years was too long. Even before we could end the first year of usage, they have extended it to 20 years. Are these people to be trusted?
But as part of a renegotiation plan where perhaps they don't have to pay as much as you were paying.
I'm saying that, okay. So that should tell you why we went for 10 years instead of 5 years.
When we could not afford it.
I'm saying that was why we went. If you had gone for the lesser years they were talking about, we couldn't have afforded it. You could not have afforded the situation because it could have cost you much more and you didn't have the means. We have signed this one and you could afford to pay. But they decided to extend through, according to them, renegotiated deal. So if renegotiations have resulted in 100% increase in years, then why were you complaining about 10 years in the first place?
You were in the education sector, professionally as well. Free SHS, for a lot of political watchers, will be perhaps one of the top 3 issues of this election. There are those who say your candidate, your flag bearer, former President Mahama, used to say he doesn't support free HS. He has seen it will go against him, and so now he's joined the bandwagon.
You see, that is never true. Every government from President Rawlings have worked towards achieving our constitutional provisions as far as education is concerned. The National Constitution we all voted for in 92 says, among others, that coming into force of the Constitution, we must begin to put steps in place to make basic education free, compulsory, and universal. You know what happened? President Rawlings, in doing so, meant that to achieve that, somebody will have to pay. If you say something is free, it has to be paid for. If it has to be paid for, there must be a dedicated fund that will support that process. Even though the Constitution didn't demand that it be implemented at the time he was president, he initiated the process through Get Fund. And so President Kufuor came in and had monies in Get Fund to be able to start the capitation grant. President Mills comes in and increase the allocations to capitation grant and work towards removing schools under trees and introduce free school uniforms. President Mahama takes over and sees that basic education is almost being free. He introduced free sandals and the rest and started the secondary education as far as day students are concerned to be completely free.
With your e-block project.
And they're adding the e-block project so that you could absorb a lot more. And over 150,000 borders who you could easily identify through the LEAP system were also put on special scholarships. So President Mahama was also working towards the achieving free SHS. So someone who has done this much cannot be someone that is against free SHS. Not at all. Nobody is. It is the way it's been implemented.
So he's never said anywhere that when he comes, he's going to remove free SHS.
What, on the contrary, what we are going to do is to remove the Kwashiorkor free SHS and replace it with a qualitative free SHS.
What is Kwashiorkor free SHS?
What we have now is a Kwashiorkor, it's a malnourished education. We have a malnourished education. An educational system that is producing graduates that are failing in very critical subject areas, just because not much attention is given to such areas. A system that now is so confused that you would be on vacation and GES will order that schools should resume on a particular day. Conference of heads of assisted schools will tell you we are not ready to receive the kids if they come. NAGRAT will tell you that no, we are on vacation. Teachers are to report on a particular day other than what we have been told because this is the arrangement that we have. Total confusion and mess in the system.
But at least it's a push.
I'm saying that it's a mess. And that mess is what we are talking about coming to deal. You see?
So the NDC is saying
let me tell
they will
you
improve it.
The NDC, exactly. We are going to make it better. The NDC is not against a surgery. The NDC is only worried about the tools that is being used for the surgery. That we have surgical equipment. Don't use butcher's knife to cut a person because you think that the fibroid operation must be done. Use the surgical equipment to do it. And that is what we are talking about. Unfortunately, they refuse and have used the butcher's knife to butcher some parts of the body. Instead of even stopping the bleeding that has happened as a result of use of wrong tools, they are also not doing so. When you advise them, they say, oh no, we use the right tool. The bleeding is normal. The bleeding is not normal. And people are telling you that this bleeding will lead to the patient dying. And that is what is happening.
You are watching Face to Face. When we return from this break, I'll be asking Kofi Adams about the NDC and its campaign strategy for the coming election. Kofi, let's stick with former President Mahama. He's been touring the country.
Yeah. He's a flag bearer. So
how has he been received?
I think he's been received so well. That explains why the president have to even return from one trip quickly and dash to some parts of the country that our flag bearer was, because of the reception that he received there. Despite the attempt to downplay the impact, the president returned from his foreign trip and quickly have to dash to Western North and other unplanned visitation to places otherwise he never planned to visit. And we will continue to tell the truth to the people, and that will resonate with them. And we will sell our flag bearer, we will sell our message, and the people will buy it.
What new thing are you selling for a flag bearer who lost an election by over 1 million votes?
You see, we are selling the truth that we sold, that some people didn't buy. Now they've seen it. There are others who said President Mahama was a victim of his own performance, and that he did so well in such a short time that every other promise that was made, people believed. And I tend to agree with them. You know why? People today can no longer differentiate between fake miracles and true miracles, because we know that God is in a miracle business. Because God does miracles. So when people use other things and claim that they are godly miracles, you are not able to differentiate them. Because of the performance of President Mahama in such a short time, with what people were seeing around, they thought that if these people, what people were promising was going to happen. For example, they go to a community where the NDC was building maybe a water system or doing a borehole. That, let's take example, the one that the PURC wanted to build, that was going to cost about 60,000 Ghana cedi for one. And they will make noise about it that it's inflated because Mahama wanted to steal money. That's why they will build a water system that was costing that much. Only for them to come to power today, and they are building the same thing for 130,000 Ghana cedi. And you think that people will now believe them when they go there again? A jump from 60,000 to 130,000, and you think that they will believe them? So, President Mahama's performance in terms of infrastructure made their promises believable.
The president says you
President
people
Mahama,
keep mentioning infrastructure. He hasn't seen the infrastructure.
Because how will he see it? Because he's not doing any. So he will refuse to see the others. He just commissioned the Wa Regional Hospital.
Yes.
Was it his project?
It was Kufuor's project, actually. 2008. Historically, it's Kufuor's project.
I'm saying that it has been there long even before.
Exactly.
Kufuor.
So nobody should claim credit.
But we invested, we sourced major funding for that project. He's claiming not to be seeing project, but that is one such project that he has gone to commission.
No, he says that you said you had solved the infrastructure problems. Everywhere he goes, people say, where are the infrastructure you said you built?
It is he who is asking himself. We haven't said that we have solved all infrastructure problems. Otherwise, even the community day schools we initiated, we haven't finished all of them. We haven't said we finished all of them. What we said was we should have continued. They should show me one single new secondary school that they have built for all this period. None, nothing to show. Any interchange that they have done, nothing to show.
They've started. Tamale is getting an interchange.
Interesting.
The last media budget review had a lot of roads.
Interesting.
The Boku Pusulga road is getting fixed.
It's getting fixed by who? The NDC awarded that contract. All they needed to do was to continue the project.
They said they've raised the money now.
They've raised which money?
There was no money.
There was which no money? Before the contractor was working.
Yes.
The contract was awarded and there was no money. Those are part of the lies that they feed out there to people. If you take my route, for example, the Eastern Corridor Road, and
that
specifically Hohway to Jasikan, which Cocoa Board took upon itself to deal with and have awarded to Rolida, and Rolida was working, have almost done huge percentage of work, and they come and stopped in the name of investigation, only for you to come out that there was nothing wrong. Meanwhile, your stopping of the project have caused a lot of mess, and now that road is no longer motorable. So you see people who are coming to Hohway now have to come through Jasikan, Bodada, Tetema, Baika, Lolobi, and then enter Hohway instead of using the straight short route. That's the situation that they find themselves in because of this government's behavior. Then you come and award the same project about 10 times the cost of what it's supposed to have been. And then you say we should celebrate you. How? For this waste. So this is the government that truly have nothing to show. But the question you asked me, and the answer I was provided, that President Mahama was a victim of his own performance. When you build so many community day schools in such a short time, when they go promising that we will build 350, they will be believed. When they go promising that we will build boarding facility and add them to those, they will be believed. But today, you cannot go back to those same communities and tell them that. Some of the communities who got such edifice, such schools, were rather voting for MPP because they were promising them that they will add boarding facility. So instead of rewarding President Mahama for building the school, they were rather voting for a future promise of adding a boarding facility. Today, that has not happened. And you think that they will vote for them again?
PDS.
Disaster. I'm happy that you are bringing up some of the things. Some of the serious. I didn't really want to go into. I wanted to leave those ones for another day because we have
well, since you are here,
election.
I know,
we
but
have
since
an
you are,
internal election.
but you are here.
To talk.
You are here. Let me have your
we
take on
wanted
that.
to talk much more about our elections.
I will give the last few minutes to that one. But since you have
why should that be few minutes? I want my constituency equally also advertised. I want my constituency to be discussed at the national level.
Fine.
We must be discussed. Let's deal with community by community. We have about 40 communities that makes up the constituency of about 86 branches, or polling stations. So let's talk about them. Let's mention the little ones, the OWAs, the Akpakus, the Amwakos, the Wajekopes, the Kwesims, the Kitchen Quantes. Let's mention them. The Kujes,
what is
the
happening
Atonkos.
What is happening?
These are communities that really need development and need government intervention. And a number of things were started.
Some will say you were in government for several years. You didn't do anything.
That's why I'm worried about a number of things that were started. For example, some key roads that I was just talking about. If they had continued today, we will have excellent roads that will take you to Jasika. You have a good road that will take you to Jasika. Inviting you and your crew to Jasika wouldn't have been difficult. Today is hell. If I invite you, you won't come.
It's true. I won't
come.
You won't,
that's true. You won't come. Because even me myself,
somebody else might come, but I won't come.
Yes. If I invite you, you won't come. But if the road was so good, that's the way you would go even to the north, because it will be shorter.
But why has it taken so long?
Of course,
it cannot be just. We simply cannot blame the NPP government for this.
I'm saying
a lot of governments have failed to deal with the road infrastructure in that part of the country.
The reason why I blame them is, for example, what I have just told you. That take a section like from Jasikan to Ohwe.
That was being worked on.
Has taken. Rolida was working on it. They have done so much work. You came in the name of fighting or investigating corruption. You stopped infrastructural projects. You see,
it wasn't a good thing to do.
It wasn't a good thing to
audit
do.
roads.
No,
that they felt were overinflated.
You see, it's not like the monies have been paid to the contractor and you were stopping the contractor from withdrawing the checks. He hasn't been paid. He is on site working. You now are in government. You are the one going to pay. All you needed to do is to stop payment and tell him that, or to pay for what he has done. After all, the contract sum is so much. So for what you have done and developed certificate, we are paying you that one. So you could continue with work whilst we investigate whether there was any underhand dealing. If after he finished and there was any underhand dealing, you strike out and take out what you have to take out. And the rest continue. You don't stop infrastructure project. It's one thing I'm going to fight when the NDC comes to power. And we don't do that. And I don't think that we are going to do that. To stop ongoing projects in the name of investigating to punish. We will punish wrongdoing, but then we will allow the projects to continue. What has happened now is that project now is going to cost us about 5 times more than it would have cost us if the contractor was allowed to continue. That is wrong. If you take the Hohwe to Harvest section also, that section also, Cocoa Board has taken it up. And it was also stopped for the same reasons. Then, of course, other community roads, like from New Baika through Old Baika, Tetema to Bodada, and from Odumasi through Kute all the way to Bodada again. All those roads were stopped. But for those ones now, the contractors are back, just like they have written to Rolida to go back on site. So clearly, the government caused it. This very government caused it. And we would not have been in the situation that we find ourselves in.
That is why Kofi Adams must go to Parliament.
It's among the reasons to be able to raise those issues and to draw government's attention to many other things that have not been done yet. There are still a number of things. Look, in that constituency, you cannot even access some towns even on a motorbike. Yeah, you can access some communities on the motorbikes. The 40 communities that I mentioned, there are some that you can't even access on a motorbike. You have to park the motorbike and walk because you have streams to cross. You have rivers to cross that needs even some bridges, whether wooden or anything, to facilitate movement.
What have the MCEs and DCEs in that area been doing?
They've done their best out of what has been allotted them through that's what I'm saying. It is not just relying on this Assembly Common Fund. The Common Fund alone cannot do most of such projects. You have to draw attention to central government and draw attention to other agencies so that you let the government know that they should consider those projects as priority projects. Once they buy, you are able to convince them. You see, whether your party is in government or not, government is usually in the business of looking good, wanting to look good. So if you're able to convince them that if you do this project, you look good in the eyes of the people, through whatever means that you use, they may take it up into their policy. Okay. Or the president will make a statement out of it. Then you push policymakers to now consider it as a policy, and you get solutions to your problems.
All right then. Kofi Adams, all the best in Buem. We'll be keeping an eye on that particular race. It will be one of the constituencies we have an eyes on.
Thank you. The next time you interview me as the PC for Buem, and subsequently in 2021 as MP for Buem.
Kofi Adams, former national organizer, former aide to former president Jerry John Rawlings, hits the road to become member of parliament for the Buem constituency. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Face to Face. Have a good day.